What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, happy Two Goat Thursday. How you doing?
Happy Thursday. Not just happy to go Thursday, but happy start of the NFL season. Happy Thursday night football. We are
Yes,
so back.
we are back. Feels so good. It was a long and a crazy off season and literally like lasting all the way till almost opening day Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, as 49ers fans, we're kind of used to a crazy off season. So just, I feel like I aged about 40 years this off season.
You
Like y'all
especially.
know, yeah, it hits a little different when, it's one of your favorite players involved, when it comes out that they're purposely doing things to make things harder and more difficult, all that good stuff. But we made it. We survived. Chat, what's up? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. It's almost done. Football's here. We got a full weekend of football. It's nice. And us as 49er fans, we just get to sit back and enjoy football all weekend long, not having to worry about our team playing until Monday night. So that as well makes it nice, especially for opening, weekend of football. I like to be able to catch as many games as possible to see what teams are looking like. So before we get like into anything like game related or whatnot, Kyle Shanahan talked today and talked, a little bit about Ricky. And, I haven't got to talk to you obviously since, Ricky got shot and that whole situation. So before we get into that, let me pull up this picture and video real quick. So Kyle had said that. So Ricky, as you see, that on his left, breast area, chest area, those praying hands right there. So Kyle said that he got shot, approximately 2 inches below those praying hands. He said that the hospital staff, surgeon, doctors, whatever, had told them that out of 100 people, if they were to suffer this same, shooting right there in that area, out of 100 people, only they, obviously, guesstimation, that 2 of them would survive. So to think about that and then to actually, see like picture evidence, like where, showing like, okay, that's where the bullet went through. Like that's crazy to know that that bullet went through and didn't hit anything, no nerves, no, nothing, not even a rib. Like, man, he
It's
so lucky, so blessed, so
miraculous, man.
whatever you want to call it, man. Like it definitely wasn't his time to go, right? Because whew, and then this video from practice today with Ricky out there
Like,
little
look at this
jogging
guy.
around.
Bro looks like is any other Thursday for him. Like, he looks good.
Yeah,
This is amazing. Like, you really couldn't have asked
amazing.
for a better outcome of the situation, man.
Like I would still be there in that bed, like call me in a few weeks. But wow. So a couple other things, let me see, that I had saved that Kyle said. So he said that in the after, so it says in the aftermath of Ricky getting shot, he told Kyle, I still think I can play against the Jets. So crazy.
Dude is
Um,
crazy. Like, this, what kind of dog this man have in him? Because this is just insane.
like just the whole story stuff, like going back to everything that we've heard, right? Like going back to when he gets shot, to him looking up at the, first on scene, the lady that helped him through everything, and him saying, like, looking down at his chest and asking her, like, am I going to die? And
Right.
her him like, no, you're strong, like helping him through it, praying with him. And then obviously the amazing job, right? Like, you got to give thanks to the doctors, everybody that helped with this, all played a part, obviously, in him getting through this. And then him to get discharged not even 24 hours later from the hospital. Like, I was
Yeah.
already like, wow, this is crazy, right? And then he's already the next day back in, 49ers building, like in the weight room, like. And then it comes out that he told Kyle, like, I can still play in the Jets game. Like, the kid doesn't even want to be resting, right? Like, and John, from obviously we know, right, they put him on the NFI list, so he's going to be out at least 4 weeks. And when John Lynch was talking about it, like, it made me think of one of those, like, you hear this in football a lot, that like you have to protect the player from themselves. And like, that's kind of like how this situation reminds me, like, because I feel like if they didn't put him on any kind of list, like Ricky, from everything that we've heard so far, especially knowing he never even missed a game, not even one single game in 5 years in college. Like, this kid plays, right? He plays through
Yeah.
everything. And so, like, I feel like if he wasn't on a list, like, that's actually keeping him out of football for at least 4 weeks, like, he'd be there at Kyle's door, like, can I play? Can I play this week? Can I play this week? Hey, coach, I can play. Hey,
Yeah.
like that. And it's like they put him on the list. So it's like, nope, you can't play for 4 weeks. Don't bother us till then. Take this time and heal, relax. One thing that Kyle did bring up, though, and talked about, spent, quite a few minutes talking about, was the mental side of this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, like, obviously he's a strong kid, right? Like, he's going to take a week off, like, just so it doesn't sweat and whatever. And then he's going to start, his rehab, get back in the weight room, all this. He's like, but the mental side, like, you never know how somebody's going to react, especially to, like, being shot, like the whole PTSD thing, just all
Yeah.
of that. So Kyle talked about how, it's important, how he told the guys, like, don't keep making him relive through the situation, how many ever times he gets to tell a story. Like, don't, like, ask about that, like, let him, if he wants to come out and say something, if he wants, like, let him do it on his own time, pretty much, like, just be there for him if he needs you. But obviously Ricky being there around the guys, like, that's what he wants. He wants to be there with his guys. But Kyle's like, just, like, give him his time, pretty much. What are your whole thoughts? Like, take me back to you hearing, obviously when the news starts coming out that Ricky's shot, the news is all over the place. Kind of take me back to how you were feeling, and just like how you feel now about the whole situation.
Yeah, well, it was Labor Day weekend, right? It was like that Saturday. And so I was, out with my girl. We kind of just went away for the weekend, just one night up in Greeley, Colorado. It's a small town, but we were out drinking and whatnot. And like, I get that notification on my phone because I got push notifications for some stuff. And so it came through that Ricky Pearsall was shot. And like, I immediately like go to Twitter and I try to see what is going on. And obviously, there's just a lot of people talking about it, a lot of panicking of what's going on, and we all want to know how he's doing. And so I kind of just kept looking, and every so often I checked my phone to see if there were any other updates, and it seemed like the updates were coming like pretty quickly from like reputable sources and whatnot. So it was like, oh, okay, he's gonna be okay. Like,
Mhm.
he's in fair condition. That's good. He's in the hospital. Um, and so you could relax a little bit. But then also hearing about the details of what happened, like even today, hearing like it was 2 inches below that tattoo, like that's close to the heart. And we know like
Yeah.
bullets or bullet fragments can like move and whatnot in your
Mhm.
body. So like stuff like that is scary, and it went through him too. So just the fact that it didn't hit any vital organs, didn't hit his ribs at all. Like, just like I said, you really just couldn't ask for a better outcome of the situation. And John Lynch several times used the word miraculous. So I
Yeah.
can't think of a better word to describe it. And, you know, seeing Kyle Shanahan talk about it today, I just have a great appreciation for both him and John, like being very mindful of the gravity of what happened. Like, yes, he's okay, but it's like, yeah, like you said, protect him from himself. Cause I think from Ricky's perspective, him immediately thinking about like playing in the game and like, coach, like I'm good, like I could play on Monday, like
Yeah.
for that to be his first thought. Like, obviously, this is a kid who wants to be on the field. He doesn't want to feel like he's missing out. And so like I feel like this happening to him after like the shoulder injury that he was already dealing with, like he probably takes this as like, man, like I really want to get back on the field. And that's why like he has this urge to be around the team and like, you know, be around them any way that he can. And I mean, it's awesome to see him at practice because I feel
Yeah.
like for him, like he just wants to be there. He wants to be part of all the action, right? Because he can't. And yes, like Kyle hit it on the head that like even though all this is happening and like you see the positivity of like or the progress I guess he's making seemingly from the mental standpoint of wow, he's already back with the team. Like this is amazing. You never know how trauma like unfolds, right? And it could be a gradual thing. Like it's not always something that happens like overnight or like the trauma could hit him like weeks from now, maybe a month from now, you
Right.
know, like and so I think that's why it's important that, you know, Kyle and John both know how that works. Like clearly like they know how trauma works and they just want to make sure that he understands that as well. They keep the resources out to him. I think that's super important. And it's just been real cool to, you know, see that aspect of it too. I think we can all learn a little something about this whole process and how it's been dealt. Um, you know, I feel like it's united 49er fans. I feel like it's united the team. And so yeah, it's been a roller coaster, you know, just from learning about it and being super scared about what could happen. Even Kyle and John said like they didn't even know, like they assumed the worst. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think everyone kind of assumes the worst right away. Um, just to like where we are now, like he's on the field with the team, like that's crazy. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster, but yeah, I just continue to hope for not just I mean like physical recovery, but also just like from the mental side too.
Right. You know, you like we talked about how him saying like, "Oh, you know, coach, I can play Monday." Like pair that up with him telling John Lynch like, "Hey, like I'm not injury prone." You know,
Right.
like that just
Yeah.
breaks my heart for him, you know, like I said, he didn't miss a game in college, right? And obviously, you know, he's playing through injuries, but he's tough, right? He wants to play football. He wants to be out there. And then obviously we know the shoulder injury that's kept him out of camp, and like he's just had a tough break since, you know, he's been drafted.
Yeah.
And you know, so for him to be like feeling like shit, like I hope they don't think like, you know, I'm injury prone, and for something that's not even his fault. Like, you know, like obviously getting shot, like that has nothing to do with being injury prone, right? But for that to be like one of his first things that he tells John Lynch in the hospital, and then paired with like, "Hey coach, I can play Monday, I can still play." It's just like, man, like I feel bad for him. um yeah, man, appreciate you. He says, "Take off your left shoe and show it on camera." And he said, "Don't let
Gammon.
me down, ladies. Unfortunately, I'm gonna let you down because we don't wear shoes in our house. So
Oh, don't
yeah,
show us the
I don't
toes,
have shoes.
please.
I don't have
Don't,
shoes
no,
on."
we don't need to see that. We don't need to see the dogs. But I
So
wear
yeah.
slippers. I wear slippers, and I feel like I got pretty good slippers. These are the fear of God slides. They're super comfortable. So yeah, that's what I wear. I accidentally like so I won a raffle to get these, and I thought they were gonna be like super highly sought after, I guess. So they had like 3 or 4 colorways of it, and I entered the raffle for all of them, and I won all of
What?
So I ended up with just like every color, and I was actually so pissed when it happened. But yeah, so this is the last pair that I have.
That's
And yeah,
hilarious.
hope I didn't let you
Those
down,
are
Taylor.
comfortable though.
Yeah,
Um,
they're super comfortable.
So real quick, the last thing on Ricky. So, it was going on. Obviously, we know that the 49ers had their team party, scheduled already for the night, that Ricky got, shot. So John Lynch made sure that he spoke on the topic. So, that it got back to the 49ers organization that this is something going on out there, in the social media streets. So I like that John Lynch touched on it and said, like, hey, like Ricky was like, I'm going to be fine. Obviously, once we got there, he said, we figured out like he's going to live, he's going to be all right. Ricky said he wanted the party to still go on. He just wanted to talk to his teammates. So they, put Kyle said they took the TV, put him on the big screen so he could see and talk to all his teammates that were there. And then obviously this is something that had been scheduled, right? It's not like they had just planned it. Like Kyle said, this was over 100 people had plans coming to his house that night, right? Like the team, their spouses, whatnot. Like this is something they have done every single year since Kyle's been there. So Kyle was asked about it today and was asked, when you heard about it, did you not want to rush to the hospital like John Lynch did? And Kyle said, well, yes, of course, obviously. He said, but I'm also responsible for an entire team worth full of players, not just one player. So we have John Lynch going, like we have so and so, we have this person, like what, everybody's supposed to go, like that's my thoughts, right? Kyle didn't say that, obviously. But he said, I liked it because Kyle said, he said, I'm not going to do something just like so that you're not putting out like something negative about me. Like, so he's like, I'm not going to go to the hospital and cancel the team party just so you don't write a negative article about me, or just so you don't put negative tweets out about me or whatnot. So I thought that was hilarious that obviously, this has gotten back, like, cause this was a big thing. Like the fans were pissed, like the group chats that I'm in, like they were pissed, like big discussion point that, people are putting this out there that, oh, Kyle don't give a shit, about his players. He's out partying instead of being at the hospital with Ricky. And, like that does make your coach look bad when, like us as fans, even we know this was something that had been scheduled, right? Like what did you want the guy to do is what I'm thinking. Like, and we didn't know at the time. Kyle could have went to the friggin' hospital for an hour and then went to the party. Ricky got shot at what, like 2:30 in the afternoon, and the party was that night, so nobody knew that at the time, what Kyle was doing or didn't freaking do. But it was just put out there, like, because people have this, anti-Kyle agenda to push. So I thought it was very funny that Kyle and John both touched on that.
Yeah, I mean, no, go ahead.
Real quick, Miss Debbie made a card for Ricky. If you guys haven't signed it, there's the link, so you guys can go to that link and be able to fill out and put a little message to Ricky, and then Miss Debbie will make sure the 49ers get that over to him. Appreciate you, Miss Deb. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I think like my initial reaction was like, oh, like that's not a great look. Like I knew people were gonna be angry about it, but for some reason I wasn't angry about it, just because like we didn't know the extent, like you said, we don't know if they talked at all, like before then, after the shooting. So like I'm not gonna sit here and make assumptions. And yeah, it's the annual like team party, and Kyle's right. It's not just like one player that he has to tend to. It's all the players on this team, and it was already planned, like we said. I'm sure if something was more serious, again, by then, like Kyle knew that he was going to be okay. Sure, if it was something more serious, it would have probably played out a little differently from that end. But yeah, I think the more that we hear about how it actually went down, the more silly some of that stuff looks now.
Yeah. Another thing, so let's get into some good stuff. Kyle announced today that the 49ers have 8 team captains. They had 6 last season. He said that you're able to have 9. He said the reason for 8 this year was because, obviously the players vote, right? And then Kyle, gets the votes and tallies it up and decides how many captains he's going to keep. He said this year, though, that 1 through 8, like at the, back end, that they were only like a vote apart from each other. He's like, so, since they were so close, he kept 8. He said there was like 8 or 7 or 6, whatever number he said, between 8 and 9th place. So he didn't, the 9th place vote was far enough away to just keep 8. So I know there was a big discussion about whether Trent Williams would keep his captain patch this season because of the whole holdout thing. Obviously, we know Nick Bosa didn't get voted as a captain last season, and he was holding out, right? Well, Trent Williams did keep his captain patch. So we got, of course, Fred Warner, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel Sr., Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, and George Kittle. So I went back and looked at the captains last season to compare and see. So we had Fred and Trent. So both of them still. We had George, we had Deebo, and we had Brock. So all of them rolled over. We had Eric Armstead. Obviously, he's not here. So Nick Bosa got his back. And then Juice is the new one added in. So Nick Bosa was asked about it, how he felt, being captain again. And he said, well, he likes the fact that they get parking spots this year. So he's very happy about that. But he said, and then he obviously went into and said, like, no, obviously it feels good to be voted a captain, especially on this team where you have so many guys that are worthy of being captains, right? Like so many good players, so many good leaders. And so, he said, obviously it's an honor for him to be a captain. Your thoughts with the 8 captains this season?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the list, I could see how all of them are definitely deserving of that. I think it's interesting that Juice is on there because I don't remember, like maybe in the early years of Shanahan, the Shanahan team, like Juice was on there, but I don't remember him being on there for a while. So, but the players vote, so obviously they feel like these are the guys that are deserving. As far as Trent goes, I was a little curious about that too, because of the Nick Bosa thing last year. But Trent was actually already there for the vote. Maybe that's why he came on Tuesday. He was like, I know they're voting. He's like, I better show up.
Don't forget about me.
Yeah. So maybe that's why. But yeah, since he was there, of course, like he's gonna be eligible for votes. So yeah, it makes sense that he was able to slip in there. But yeah, like all these guys make plenty of sense to me, and there being 8 dudes, like that's crazy. But it just shows how deep this team is, how much leadership there is across the board. I mean, yeah, it just says a lot about the team, I think.
Yeah, Rob, I just wrote that on my notes so I didn't forget. Well, Steph was talking about, Juice becoming captain, and that's what I wrote. Maybe it's because he took a pay cut and, some of his players, some of the teammates were able to get paid. So, they're like, oh, yeah, he's a team player. We got to vote him for captain. So, yeah, he did pay money to get that badge.
That's hilarious.
What other news came out? Oh, the backup quarterback was announced. Obviously, going back and forth, we had said Josh Allen. I mean, I wish Josh Allen. What's his name? Brandon Allen.
Allen.
That he was more the safer Kyle pick, right? Like that I thought, if Kyle's having his way, like that's the safe guy. Although us fans saw the upside with Josh Dobbs and the excitement with Josh Dobbs playing, I just felt like Brandon Allen's more Kyle's type. Like he's safe. He's going to get in there and do exactly what Kyle wants and tells him to do. He's not going to, try to run shit himself. Your thoughts with the whole backup quarterback competition coming to an end?
Doesn't surprise me at all. I'd been saying it too for quite some time that this was my suspicion that they would eventually choose this. I don't agree with it necessarily, but also like I gotta acknowledge that I don't know. Like we only see the end result of a play, and we don't know what play was called, and we don't know what the intended target should have been according to Kyle Shanahan and that play. Um, Maybe there were plays in the preseason that Dobbs missed, and because he missed them, he had to scramble and go off script, and it ends up being an exciting play, but we know what Kyle wants out of this offense. He wants his plays to play out exactly how he drew them up. And if you the quarterback is the reason that it doesn't go that way, that's on you, right? You're going to lose some points for that. So, I don't know. Look, Brandon Allen there weren't any touchdowns that he was responsible for in the preseason. And let me just say this. I just hope Brock Purdy stays healthy because I don't have much faith in Brandon Allen if he's going to be the backup to score points. He'll get you out of the game. He maybe won't throw an interception, but he's not going to score any points. So at least that's the way I see it. But yeah, definitely not surprising to me.
The only time I'm hoping that we see him is because we're beating a team so bad that Brock's able to come and sit on the bench and rest over there, and Allen can come in, do some kneel downs, whatever he has to freaking do, some whatever, and get out of there. Hopefully. Let's talk a little bit about Brock Purdy. So he went on the Rich Eisen show, and Rich had asked him, since obviously he got to have a full off season, what he worked on. And so he said that he went back and he watched, all the tape from last season, and, he's been working on his situational football, like, oh, I could have done this in this situation, and, we would have scored. I could have done this in this situation instead of that, and we would have got the first down, whatever, like that. And then like playing quarterback more efficiently. He said, being able to work on his body this offseason, that he worked on his mobility. He worked on getting stronger, faster, and just putting on, like more muscle to keep him, healthy and whatnot. What's obviously, looking back at his first, full season and what he did, coming off the big major injury, not having the off season. What are you expecting from Brock Purdy this season?
I'm expecting more growth, more maturity, more of a handle on the offense, the players, like you as a quarterback, when you step on the field, when you guys all step on the field, like he's responsible for them what they do to an extent, right? So if someone's not doing something correctly or didn't run their route at full go, like I want him to lay in on guys. And we've seen that, right? We've seen glimpses of that. I just want him to have more command. I think that's what we're going to see this year. More command, more of a sense of responsibility over the entire offense. And yeah, I think we'll see small wrinkles in his game where he's improved. I've said it, right? Like statistically, I don't know if he'll improve, but I think we'll be able to see like just some of the improvements he's made this offseason. It'll be like little things here and there. So I'm looking forward to that. I think him having a full off season is going to help this offense, even with how good it was last year. I think it has room to be even better.
Yeah. One other thing that Rich Eisen, real quick, that he had talked to him about was that because Kittle, he was just on Rich Eisen's show like a week before, or whatever. So he asked Brock about his thighs because he said Kittle told him that Brock has Pokemon size thighs, and so he wanted to know about that. And so Brock said, like, that's something like I've always worked on, but obviously, being with the 49ers and seeing Nick Bosa and what he does, to be, put all that, obviously being Quadzilla over there. He's like, so, I found out what Nick does and I put some of that into, his workout routine. He's like, because that can help me, be more mobile and whatnot. So I thought that was funny. Pokemon size. All right, let's get into, looking forward to, actually, before we move into Monday night, let me ask you about this, because last week's show, we had from the chat talked about Parag and about him being fired. Like we're sick of his shit. At that time, remember, Ayuk hadn't been signed yet. He got signed as we were on the rant about that. And since Trent Williams has been signed, we've also seen that there's been quite a few restructures over the past, couple of weeks. The 49ers currently have the most cap space in the NFL. How are you feeling now about Parag? So, like, does him, being able to get Trent and BA done, does that erase the whole off-season drama? You keep making us freaking wait till the last minute. Our guys aren't in there on the field getting practice. Is all forgiven? How are we feeling about Parag now?
Look, I think I know that he's really good at what he does. My issue still remains that it takes so freaking long. And I'm not convinced that it isn't the 49ers' fault that it takes this long. Because at this point, it doesn't matter who the player is. It always goes down to like this final week or like super late, And I'm assuming unless the player like kind of caves before the 49ers do, right? So I still don't love that. And I still feel like that's something that shouldn't be normalized. I think it's something that needs to change because, yes, the end result is it getting done, and that's a positive thing. And yes, you were able to save, the 49ers money. You look how the deals are structured and all that, and they're able to save cap space for this season. Like, that's great. Like, yeah, keep doing that. But it doesn't need to take this long. I still don't think it has to. I just don't think anything's going to change on that front, though, because, I mean, ultimately, that would be Jed's call. Like, Jed is the one who hired him, and that's who Parag has to answer to. But I'm pretty sure, like, the agreement on their end is like, hey, make me pay less money, And I don't even know if he's doing that because, he just got a lot of guarantees for both Ayuk and Trent. But, like I said, if you look at how the deals are structured, it is hard to look at it and say it's like not good for the team, right? Like, I think it's good. But yeah, I don't think we should continue to normalize it taking so freaking long because I don't think it benefits the team at all. I don't think it benefits the player to miss any action, we're going to talk about it. They could potentially be rusty for Monday night, right? That's something we don't want. And that's something that could impact the whole reason the team does anything to play games to win a Super Bowl, right? Like, so once it's impacting actual play in the regular season, like, to me, that's a problem. So yeah, I don't love that, but he can stay, I guess. I just work faster.
it's funny because John V says this, messing around. Obviously, we don't know what their friendship is. But it came out that Jed's not happy with these contracts that just came out. And if a Super Bowl is not won this season, some people are going to be gone. Maybe Prague's one of them. Everybody assumes right away that it was Kyle and John, but I don't know. Maybe it's John and Prague.
Oh no, I doubt that. But like, I guess that's interesting though, because again, it's the fact that it takes so long and you end up paying the same amount anyway. That to me is
you could have had Ayuk for cheaper.
Well, yeah. I mean, that I don't know if I can fault them too much because it seemed like they were very close to getting it done, and it just so happened like they, was it the Eagles?
They should have been faster, but they're not.
That's yeah, because like, I mean, you got league sources around the NFL, right? Like the 49ers do. So I would think like you better have a pulse on when these other deals are getting done so you can get yours done faster. Like find a way to get information about how close those deals are. I'm sure there's a way. I mean, agents, all that, they talk. So yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting to see what happens. Hopefully we win a Super Bowl and we don't have to worry about any of it. All right, let's get into Monday night. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk, Trent, they haven't been there with the team. Are we expecting rust? Are you expecting them to be ready? Obviously, Trent, it's not just a single position spot he needs to worry about. Like, you have a whole old line that needs to be gelling together. You also have new pieces, a new piece on that, 2 new pieces? Something. You have new pieces on the O-line that Trent never has even worked with before. So what are you expecting specifically, like, out of those 2 in Ayuk and Trent Williams?
I think for Trent, what I'm expecting is something closer to like what we saw out of Nick Bosa in week 1 last year, where it wasn't like a whole lot, right? But I think it's not going to be so noticeable for us, like any decline in Trent's play or rustiness in Trent's play. I think the player themselves, knowing themselves and what they can normally do, would be the ones to be able to do that. That's why, like, much of the season, like, okay, Nick Bosa last year wasn't getting a lot of sacks, right? But the whole team wasn't really getting a lot of sacks. So I don't think that was specific to Bosa and his contract thing. But Bosa himself also saying, like, the deal taking so long in the offseason he didn't really feel like he was playing as good as he normally would if maybe he was preparing differently in the off season or he had all camp to kind of ramp up. So I think that's the kind of thing we'll see from Trent. Like, it might not be obvious so much from our perspective, but it wouldn't be crazy like if in a few weeks Trent was asked about it, he's like, yeah, like, I am a little rusty, right? And we'll be like, damn, really? But I have confidence in Trent that he'll be good enough. I think regardless, he has a really tough matchup in week 1. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, this would be the only game I'd be worried about for quote unquote like rustiness for him. As far as Brandon Ayuk goes, I saw like a clip from him from practice earlier today, and dude was like, he was spry, like, and you could tell he was going 100%. And it's practice, right? It was just like practice reps, and it wasn't even like team period. It's just like drills. But I think he's trying to get back in that mode. My concern more so with Ayuk and honestly both of them is like injury risk. Like, that's always, and I don't really know how long until they're kind of out of that woods, or those woods of that risk. But that you do have increased injury risk when you're kind of just thrown back into that kind of football movement. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Hopefully those, this week of practice helps get them ramped up appropriately, and they'll come out of the game feeling all right.
Yeah, the thing is that, Ayuk, you can play 25% of the snaps, or you can
Yeah,
play,
exactly.
whatever. The same with Nick Bosa. He didn't have to play all 100% of the
That's true.
snaps when he was coming
Yep.
back either. Trent Williams, he's going to be expected to play 100% of the snaps because who's going to play in his place?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, offensive line, it's a little different. Like, you can't really rotate offensive linemen. I mean, they've done it in the past with like Burford and Feliciano, but not really for Trent. So I don't know. You might just have to give Trent all of his reps.
Another one coming back, and obviously not because of contract, but because of injury, is CMC. They did release the injury report. He's on there with calf/Achilles. They said it's not, nothing new. However, I saw somebody put this out, and it says Greenlaw had similar designations for weeks leading into the Super Bowl. Sherman did as well before tearing his. I hope they manage CMC's touches and keep him healthy. Always worried when you see Achilles, whether it's new or not. Thoughts on CMC coming back?
Yeah, I wasn't worried about the calf strain, and I felt like them keeping him out of training camp after that injury was like cautionary, and I'm pretty sure they said that. But the fact that now they added more, I guess, color to the situation, and adding the Achilles on there, I don't love that, because I remember not feeling too worried about Greenlaw, and then we saw how that happened. Although it was the opposite leg, opposite Achilles for Greenlaw. But if you have an issue with one leg, your other leg, or when you have two of an extremity, the other side is like compensating for what the other one is lacking. So that's how you could also end up with those kind of injuries, which is maybe what happened with Greenlaw. But yeah, I mean, I don't love that, especially with I'm not even gonna say it, but him being on that thing. You know what I'm like, I
Yeah.
hope you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't, because I wasn't trying to believe in any of that, but yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it. So hopefully they are still cautious with him. And if Jordan Mason has to play, and just because you're trying to limit McCaffrey's load, like, I hope Mason's ready to go, and he plays like how we've seen him play, like how we know he could play. And yeah, but it's something to monitor, I guess.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that you have capable backups. Like, use them. Like, don't be putting CMC out there until he's having to tell you that he needs to come off the field. Like, that's what I feel like they need to do a better, like, back to the whole protecting the player from himself. Even if CMC didn't have any of this on the injury report, like, Kyle or whoever is responsible for that will literally have him in the game, and he won't come out until he's telling them, like, I need to come out for a breather. Like, do better about, like, getting him off the field. Jordan Mason is more than capable, and now you have plenty of running backs in the fold as well, so use them. Like, there should be no reason why we're not seeing any of these other running backs get any use whatsoever. Like, and like, we're literally using CMC till his wheels fall off. Like, on the other side, on the Jets side, obviously we know this will be Aaron Rodgers' first game back from an Achilles injury as well. He did not play any preseason games. So the only thing he's done is practice. They did have joint practices with another team, so he did go through that. But has played no live game action, obviously, since he tore his Achilles the first week of last season. What are you expecting to see from Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense overall? I guess you can go into if you want.
Yeah, I think they'll try to ease him in, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is gonna like go crazy out the gate, especially because like I think already at his age, even before him dealing with his injury last year, like I think we could see there was a bit of a decline in his game, like maybe like definitely not on the Tom Brady trajectory, but I think there was some drop off in his game. So I think the amount of time that he's been out definitely wanted to slowly, I guess, get him back into things. So I expect the Jets to run the football a lot in this game. For one, I mean the 49ers defense have kind of shown that that is one area you could test out
Yeah.
early. I think the Jets are going to try to do that. They're already a pretty run first team, and so I think they'll start off kind of slow and leave it up to Rodgers if he wants to kind of open it up from there. But yeah, I guess I'm not expecting the sharpest game from Rodgers, but and I don't think the Jets are gonna, expect the world of him in this first week.
Um, Obviously, let's switch over to the Jets defense. We got Salah coming back to town. He, spoke. I listened to him speak a little bit about the 49ers defense and kind of, his hands on that. Salah has a lot riding on this season, obviously, right? He had went over there, drafted a quarterback that didn't work out. Then goes all in last season with Aaron Rodgers, getting all these pieces that Aaron Rodgers wants over there. And then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. Obviously, that's not Salah's fault, right? He has no control over that. But like Salah, like, I'm surprised, honestly, that he's lasted this long over there with the production.
Yeah.
But I would have to think that, his time is coming close to an end over there. So he has a lot riding on this season and obviously on Aaron Rodgers. So what are you I guess kind of what are you expecting to see just from the Jets defense? Are you expecting our offense to struggle against them? Because, even with last season, as shitty as, the Jets offense was and all that, they still had a top 5 defense. Their defense still showed up
Hmm.
game in and game out, even though they knew they were getting no help from their quarterback and were playing for pretty much nothing. They still showed up and ended the season like with the top 5 defense. So are you, we talked about our pieces that might be, a little rusty. How are you expecting their defense to fare against our offense?
Yeah, I'm expecting their defense to play the 49ers, tough. Like you mentioned, this has been a good defense, right? Even though it hasn't been a good team, like this defense has tried to carry them as as much as they possibly could. And so, you're gonna see in week one that they'll have a little more balance with Aaron Rodgers and their offense on the other side. So I think their defense has the capability to make some things difficult for the 49ers. Certainly the 49ers offensive line, I think, may struggle in this game. So I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy, and then it really is all on the Jets secondary, which like they have really good corners, so kind of from top to bottom, they're a strong group, and they're going to try to force Brock Purdy into mistakes, and things like that. I even with Trent back, like it wouldn't shock me if there were like 3 sacks in this game that Brock Purdy took, right? Just because the defensive line is as good as it is, especially up at the interior. So Kinlaw's there. Maybe he has a revenge game. I don't know, but yeah, they're a strong group. So
Kinlaw
I'm
versus
expecting a low
Pooney.
scoring game. Yeah, Pooney will be going up against Kinlaw, so that'll be fun actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. But I don't know if they run like a stunt or something. You might see Quentin Williams on that side, and that's gonna be crazy. But no, it's good for Pooney to get that experience and whatnot. And yeah, they're without Hassan Reddick, which is good for the 49ers, and
Mm-hmm.
it probably seems like he's not going to play. But in any case, like they're still pretty stacked on that side of the ball. So I don't think it's going to be easy for the 49ers. I think I'm kind of expecting a low scoring game. I've been predicting, I know we saved the predictions for the end of the show, but I'll just tell you 10-7 is my score prediction for the she writing it down. You writing it down?
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
keeping
Miriah.
track this season.
Miriah always holds me accountable. So
Especially with
10-7.
a score like
She
that,
wasted no
10-7.
time. Damn, I know. Like everyone's saying, like I'm crazy, or they're like surprised that I'm
Disgusting.
saying. They're hella surprised that I'm saying 10-7. I don't think it's that crazy, but
That's a shitty Monday Night Football game.
it would
Like
be
I,
it would be pretty
God, I hope
boring,
not.
wouldn't it? That'd be pretty
That's
boring.
very nasty.
But I also expect I think Lenore will have an interception on Rodgers. I think that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, and the
Well, I'm about
49ers
to
win.
ask you for your player of the game on offense and defense. So since you're at it, you might as well just hit it.
Okay, I think on the defensive side, yeah, I'll say Lenore, but I could also see Leonard Floyd having. I hope he gets a sack on Aaron Rodgers in
Me too.
this game. No, I'm not rooting for any injuries, but I hope he gets a sack because that would just be kind of funny. But on the offense side, who player of the game? I'm gonna say Debo.
Yeah. Those were mine as well.
Both?
The same two. Yep.
Okay.
I was listening in a Jet Space earlier, and they were asking, who they thought their defense, should focus on shutting down. And, about half of them said CMC, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But then some went into like, well, we don't know how bad his injury is, if he's going to be, decoy, yada yada, all that. And then the other half were all saying Kittle, that they're worried about the most, because their
I've heard that as
linebackers
well.
are, not as great. Like if you had to pick an area of weakness in their defense, like they were saying that's where it is. And like the way they were talking up Kittle, like I was, obviously we know how great he is, and we know, how we talk him up, but to actually hear another fan base like paying him the amount of respect that they were, I was very surprised. They, like one was talking about like, he was like, that guy's just crazy, like you can't stop him. Like he seriously like has some screws loose in his head, like he just is like a different animal out there. And yeah, they're just talking about like, if you don't stop him, and like you, even if you try to stop him and can't stop him great enough, like he's gonna make you pay, and he's gonna make you look foolish out there, so I'm like, man, like since you guys are all there talking him up, like I hope he does go crazy on your asses. But Debo, like you have to expect, like just from the off season that Debo's had, like it would be foolish to sit here and not pay him the respect. Like this is the best we've seen him look coming into a week 1 game that since he's been here. And he's just had a great off season, been healthy. Like you can tell he's just in another mindset. Obviously, he could be playing for his next team, right? Like we don't know what his future holds after this season. So I would, like I expect him to have a great season as long as he stays healthy. I'm expecting him to have a great season this season overall.
Yeah, me too. On that though, I was a little curious because like with the cap saving move they made earlier this week, I was like, they're kind of moving money to the back of his contract, which now I'm like, is that their way of like committing to Debo beyond 2024? Because I thought that was interesting. I don't know. That'll just be interesting
I
to
hope
see.
they're moving all this money to pay Diamador Lenore before we can't afford him anymore.
Well, I think Lenore is trying to bet on himself this
Yeah,
year.
I know.
It seemed like the 49ers did approach him on a contract, but he wants to bet on himself. And you seen like the last 2 corner deals that came out this week. They're pretty good, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame him for wanting to push a little higher.
All right, so Steph's score prediction 10-7 49ers, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake Moody field goal, baby.
Nasty. My score prediction, we're back to 31, baby.
Oh my god.
31-17.
Write this down.
FUJETS. Yeah, write it down because I'm going to keep track all season until the end of the season, and we're going to see who was the closest.
All right.
So, you guys, she's going to pay for this right off the gate for this 10-7 BS. Don't worry, faithful. Don't you worry. Steph, any closing thoughts? Anything else you got to say before we get out of here?
No, I'm just super pumped for week 1. I'm pumped for today. An actual good Thursday night football game. I mean, this is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So Miriah, to add context to this comment, I was on Jets Reddit earlier and they were complaining because one of them said that they went to 49ers Reddit and they were like, they're so confident and cocky out there. There was one 49ers fan who said that they were going to win 48-3. And I was like, damn, like, I ain't that delusional, you know? Like, I wouldn't even say that 48-3. Like, yes, I think they'll win, but geez.
That's
so I
crazy.
thought that was funny. But.
That is. And Brandon, he's a Jets fan. So he says 24-20 Jets.
All right, Brandon. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. I'm not scared of that old man busted up quarterback you got over there.
That's what I'm saying. He's not Tom Brady, man.
Yeah. You're done for the week. You got anything else going on?
Oh no, I got my preview show with KP tomorrow on my channel, 2 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you guys check that out. You know I go in depth with it.
There you have it. And maybe I'll be back this weekend with TL. I'm not sure yet, so just stick around and find out. Make sure you're subscribed to both channels, Steph49K and Faithfully in Vegas on YouTube. It's free, it's fast, it's easy. You just got to click the button. We appreciate y'all. Chat, you guys are awesome as always. Much love. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. We got football back, baby. We're out of here.
Go.